Hello, this is Nitin Dahat with the Times at the Critical Manufacturing MES and Industry 4.0 Summit, and I'm speaking to Adélio Fernandes, who's one of the co-founders of Critical Manufacturing all those 16, 17 years ago. Hello, Adélio, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Right, Adélio, when you started 16 years ago, or 16, 17, what were you doing then before that?
Before I was actually working in a semiconductor company, okay, at that time Infineon, that later on became Kimonda, and we were actually implementing an MES for globally at the company, and we were working with a product, a commercial product back then, and we were actually doing the customization part, all the heavy and specific scenarios, and we saw back then that there was an opportunity to actually have something in terms of the MES system that could actually be different from the architectural, from the technology, and from the functional perspective. Okay, we saw this need, and then when we started.
So basically, that's a system that's agnostic of whatever you're applying it to, and able to sort of collect that data and do something with that. Is that right?
Yes. So I think what makes quite unique when you compare to other systems is the degree of flexibility. So it is thought since the ground up in terms of architecture to be highly available, scalable, and at the same time very flexible. So it is very easy when you actually decide that you want to implement a new functionality in the MES, and you just read what the functionality should do, and you just code it. But what we always try to do is that how can we make it flexible? Because what we will find at the customer is it will be a slightly different scenario. So we need to cope not only with the functionality, but also with the degree of flexibility that will allow us to easily implement the different scenarios that we'll find.
Now, you took that experience from the semiconductor world, and you're basically doing that in software now, manufacturing execution systems. That's what MES stands for, right?
Yes.
That's very appropriate now for today's age of industrial IoT and AI.
Yeah.
Tell us how that journey has evolved in those years, and where are we today, and what are the big things?
Okay, so typically, and when we start, and also based on the experience, we came actually from what may be the most complex industry, which is semiconductor. And what we see nowadays, and I mean the trend started some years ago, is that this complexity is getting to other segments, to other type of business. So it's no longer just a semiconductor thing. So we are seeing this complexity growing and growing in different markets, especially the ones that we are in, like semiconductor, of course, but then medical devices, SMT and electronics, and industrial equipment. So manufacturing equipment can be very complex, and there is the need for a very configurable and flexible system.
And in the industrial and the manufacturing environment, and also automotive, I guess, what are the big challenges that you're seeing today with your customers? Because everybody talks about AI, or everybody talks about automation. Yeah. Are we there yet?
We are in the beginning of a big revolution, and of course, for sure, AI will challenge, question, and bring a lot of new things. You actually require a different way of thinking, so it will actually revolutionize the way that you look into the problems, look into the perspectives, to the data. From an MES perspective, we saw this growing from starting from what was really required at the MES as core functionality, that going into the data. So 2 years ago, when we did the first MES summit, we were focusing a lot on the data platforms. So that's why today, as part of the MES suite and solution, there is a data platform powering the MES and being able to generate the insights that are required with the speed and complexity that is required as well. And now we are entering the AI era. Okay, and with AI, we need actually to be able to expose the data, which is rich data already contextualized, and for the customers that already did this, so the journey from MES, the data, in this case the data lake, and now with AI, I mean the scenarios and the possibilities are endless.
So we've heard a lot of things from the speakers today, but one of my takeaways is automation and the use of AI is, as you said just now, very, very early days. What people talk about it, but what are the big sort of bottlenecks, the hurdles to actually implementing?
Okay, so it starts by having the data, okay, in a structured and meaningful way, because otherwise garbage in, garbage out. So we actually have to have the data problem resolved, okay, and I mean, today people are seeing AI and they are trying to actually make some sense of it, and they struggle with the problem not having a structure and let's say the data problem resolved. So you need to start from having the data problem resolved, and then you can think, because AI will open all the doors, because once you have this, AI will be able to interact with the MES, interact with the data, and even extract sense or things from the data that you never thought that was there.
And the other thing we heard from one of the controversial speakers was about how Europe is so behind, but it's not really behind, is it? He was just being provocative, wasn't he?
I mean, there is some true, depending on the segments and the type of companies that you are targeting. Manufacturing is far more than just the high-tech manufacturing. Of course, when you look from high-tech manufacturing perspective, then of course automation is there for some years. I mean, I worked in a company in the past where this was already a reality with different systems with a lot of limitations back then. But automation and degree of automation that was possible, it was already implemented at that time. It was already far advanced, even compared with companies that are doing the digital transformation today. But what I see and what I get from what was said today, what I take is that if you apply to some segments, maybe this is true, if you actually compared for the high-tech segments, I would not completely agree with the statement.
I think I tend to agree with you. But finally, just from, and don't give me the answer of AI, but what are the big things that we think we should be watching out for in the next 12 to 24 months in manufacturing and specifically in the areas you work in?
Okay, so it's data. It's all about the data. Of course, when you start talking about MES, you are concerned about control the process, integrate with the different, let's say, products, technology that you need for production. But once you want to even think about AI, it's like you need to have the problem of the data solved. Okay. And this is something that is somehow overlooked, okay? Because you think that AI will just simply look all over the place and find things for you, yet it can do a lot of things, but it can actually produce very good results if you actually guide it in the right direction.
And I think that's the structuring of that data, yes, and making sure it sort of has some kind of formats that then it can do automatically, yes, in terms of acting on it, in whether it's industrial IoT or any other area, I guess.
Yeah, so there is an area that is trending as well now, and we are seeing this, so we are even entering and having a solution that we call Collaboration Hub, that it is coming from something that was mentioned today by different speakers about the complexity of managing a project where we have multiple partners, so multiple system integrators working in that project, maybe a software provider like critical manufacturing, the customer himself. So when you think that everyone should collaborate in a single project, we are lacking solutions to do so. So we face this problem of having projects running on our side, the project is running on the customer side, and the visibility, people have different visions on the current status of the project. So we are actually coming with a platform that allows to do this. So we already use this kind of internally, and the degree of automation that we can have in the platform that will actually allow you to automate from the simple development of the product, of the solution, to actually deploy this into production. And it can be in cloud, on-premises, hybrid scenarios. It's completely transparent, but everyone will be working on the same platform. This is where we are targeting. So we are not only concerned on resolving the manufacturing problems, but also to optimize and accelerate the work of the teams that are trying to put this strategy in place.
Well, Adélio, thank you very much.
Thank you.